Greetings, ladies and laddies, and welcome back to Brink of Arts, eBay Rescues. The set we're gonna rescue today is actually quite old and has long since been in the possession of me and my friends, which really shows as I'm unpacking it. You have to understand, when my friend painted this set, he was 14 to 15 years old. We've just gotten into Warhammer, painted only a handful of minis and had very limited skill and painting supplies at our disposal, which, again, is easily visible in the paint shop. As always in my eBay rescues, I will not remove any paint that's already on the minis, and will try my best to stick as close to the original version of the pre-owner as I can. For Morrs Garden, we've got several buildings to take care of, a lot of sections of wall and fences, as well as a big statue posing as the centerpiece of this assembly. This is not gonna be a small project, and transforming this into this might take some time, so we better get going. Timer is set and we can begin with our rescue operation. I thought it would be a clever idea to start with the buildings first. Every one of these little tombs has its own foundation plate, and to access those easier, I just broke the houses free from them. Buildings and foundations separated, we start the paint job by taking care of the ground. Here we use the texture paint Stirland Mud from Citadel, not only painting the flat earth, but also leading it in between the cracks of the cobblestones. After that we take some light beige and give the earth a thorough dry brush, catching the casted texture of the model and the grains of sand from our texture paint. The ground is already done, so we can move on to the Cobblestone Plaster. Here I thought it would be a good choice to replace the boring black with a dark blue tinted grey, matching the map cards of our cursed city models. Having all the stones painted, we pick a big brush and a lighter blue to give the cobblestones a dry brush too, achieving the dry texture of real stone. Back from a short break, it's time to start working on the coffins. The first step we need to take here is to clean up the patchy paint job with a fresh coat of grey paint, though there are some exceptions. This coffin was painted purple, so I used a dark burgundy to clean it up. This other big coffin right here doesn't really have any color to begin with, so I decided to paint it brown, thinking that a wooden look would suit its cast quite well. After the cleanup, it's again time for another dry brush of light grey on the regular stone coffins. That done, we take a true metallic brass paint to clean up the lid on the purple coffin, and also use it to change the color on the wooden coffin's lid. Leaving the foundation plates alone for now, it's time to turn our attention to the buildings themselves. The purple I'm using here is actually the very same color as the buildings already have, a serious purple from Citadel, although it seems a lot more vibrant here, at least on camera. I think this step is always really satisfying, seeing how much cleaner the minis look afterwards, though all of this surely took quite a lot of time already. Finally finishing the cleanup, it's time for another dry brush, but not with a light purple. The goal here is to achieve the overall look of stone by dry brushing the walls with a medium grey tone. Unfortunately, I was really anxious about not having the buildings ready for the film shoot the next day, so I rushed a bit too much. With bristles a bit wetter with paint than they should be, the dry brush was pretty rough and sloppy, basically not how a dry brush should be. We will get back to this later, but for now it's time to tackle the roofs. The shingles of the chapel weren't even primed, so I opted for a coat of that pale dark blue from earlier. For the Christmas star on top, we can use the true metallic brass again. Now for something that I was really looking forward to. The green roof of the biggest tomb, but I think that a pale, desaturated green would fit a bit better than the vibrant, lush green of the pre-owner. Seeing both colors side by side, I think we did make the right call here. The next day, I took all the parts that were good enough to work as a backdrop and shot the scenes for my cursed city finale. The outcome was great, and when I had finally finished that video, I got immediately back to our rescue operations. After repainting the roofs, it's time to give it a little dry brush for more texture, and although this worked quite well for the most part, attempts at dry brushing the green roof proved to be unsuccessful. So we need to change our tactics and stipple the paint on with furious aggression, thinking about all the time we're already behind schedule. The buildings surely do look like they have a lovely personality. I think it's time for a heavy wash, huh? We just slather everything with it, and pay special attention to the deep recesses and the corners. After that's dry, I think we should have another go at a more refined dry brush. This time we pay special attention to really having the brush as dry as possible, thus avoiding making any streaks like last time, and finally achieving a convincing stone texture. And then we repeat this stippling on the roofs, not only the green one, but the blue and purple too. This truly is a great technique to achieve depth on a flat surface without any airbrushing, so I highly recommend you to try it out too. We take a true metallic silver to pick out some of the details like the metal bars and the roofs, and many other details here and there, before taking a true metallic brass to pick out some of the skull ornaments. Now we finally come to our centerpiece, the big statue of death. Interestingly, I have actually attempted to rescue this piece years ago, which is why the paint job isn't as patchy as the other pieces. But now we gotta spice it up a bit, preparing the cobblestones and washing the statue itself with a heavy brown wash. After that's dry, there's a lot of highlighting that needs to be done. Taking a very light khaki, we pick out all of the raised parts, meaning especially the folds, but also the small details like the rope and the bumps on the skeleton itself. The pedestal needs some edge highlighting as well, of course. And just like that, the statue is done too. Now we just need to take care of the walls and fences. First, we want to take care of the stone pillars, changing the bright sandstone into a more subtle, regular stone. Usually, I would stay with the original color scheme, but this time, I think it's okay to change it up. After all, the goal is to make it match up to the rest of the scenery. Having taken care of the stone framing, we give the ground the same treatment as with the foundation plates. The last thing we need to do is to paint the fences themselves in a dark blue, and this was one hell of a task. My goodness me, the time it took to paint all these little rods was absolutely astronomical. I think I needed around 15 to 20 minutes per segment, which means up to 3 hours in total. At least it felt like that. Okay, just the walls and the gates are left. As per usual, we need to clean up the pre-owner's paint job first, starting on the grey bricks. To ease up the contrast on the masonry, I decided to switch the other bricks from black to a bluish grey. The windows or shrines embedded in the brickwork get a frame of light grey. The gate has a lot of sandstone bricks mixed in, and although this again reflects the box art quite well, we need to change it up to keep it coherent with the rest of the walls. The crenellations on the walls get to keep their sandstone look though. After that we give the sandstone its texture, which, funnily enough, works better with my gooey, dried-in paint than it would have worked with my fine quality paint. The metal gate is framed with 2 stone pillars, which we want to fill in with dark blue, before picking out the ornamental stucco on the sides with our sandy yellow too. Okay, for the gate itself, we just take the same paint that we used for the other fences. After that we just have to do a little more cleanup, and pick out all of the true metallic details, meaning the spikes on the walls with brass, and the knock on the small gate with silver. Finally, the groundwork is done and we are ready for the wash stage. Here we can thankfully use the bootleg dip wash that my friend brought back to me. We could technically call it done after this, but I've still got a few aces up my sleeve to really step up our gaming terrain. Take the same paints from earlier, water them down quite a bit, and roughly pick out all of the bricks again. The colors do look way too bright here, but it will dull down considerably when it dries, so no worries. This step helps the masonry to stand out, and brings a lot of light back on the mini while still preserving the depth the wash achieved. This was a huge success, so how about a massive fail next? When it came to the small stone pillars, I thought it would be a very smart idea to give all of them a quick edge highlight, which proved to be neither quick nor a real edge highlight, as the paint of choice was too close to the base layer to really make enough of a difference. Well, that was a waste of time. The light grey dry brush, on the other hand, did leave us with the desired stone effect. The last two major parts of this build that we need to take care of are the weeds and the skulls on almost every building. I think nothing that grows in a grim place like this one should look healthy, so use a desaturated, ill-looking green when cleaning up the leaves, as well as a brownish red for the rose blossoms. To finish it up and really underline this unhealthy look, we take a brown wash and heavily drench these areas with it. After all of the plants are fully repainted, it's only the skulls that are left. Only 255 skulls that need to be painted. Individually. Oh god. Okay, here's the plan. First, we clean up the skulls with a basic white paint, and then we give them basically a wash, using the best contrast paint on the market, Apothecary White. Great! Now we only need to repeat this step 254 times more. I think I don't need to tell you how much of a slog this was. Every time I thought I'd get close to the end, I just kept discovering more skulls. Just an unending wave of human skulls. Usually I would give the skulls some finer highlights after the wash, but I think I can get away with not doing this time. Thankfully we get to do some fun icing on the cake. To light the candles, we first take a desaturated orange and slather it on the general area where the light will be. Then we follow it up with a bright orange closer around the flame, and then the flame itself with a bright yellow. Now we only need to put some pure white at the belly of the flames, and we got ourselves some realistically burning fire. Finally, we conclude the rescue by putting the raven that broke off during transit back in its place. Who would have guessed that a one impulsive thought, supposed to buy me time for my larger projects, would turn out to me actually being one video behind schedule? And here was I, thinking I could do all of this in just one day. I really underestimated the scope of that rescue, though, to be fair, none of the techniques were really difficult, it was just so much. But all in all, it was definitely worth it. Morrs Garden looks awesome now, and my personal favorite are the burning candles. But what do you think? Would you agree that the rescue is complete? Or would you have done anything differently? And on that note, would you like to see more EB rescues like this one? Do you maybe even have a specific model in mind that you would like to see me try and rescue? Please be my guest and share your thoughts in the comments section. And if you would like to see more videos like this, as well as all of the other shenanigans I'll be up to in the future, feel free to hit the subscribe button. As I am really looking forward to seeing you again in my next video. Until then, take care.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Oh, that's good. I keep having this nagging feeling that I've forgotten something.
Hey, if you forgot it, it probably wasn't all that important.
Yeah, I guess.